Jake Harrison stepped out of the decontamination chamber and let out a tired sigh. The bright blue lights of the cleaning system had finally stopped flashing, which meant he was done with the daily routine that every crew member had to follow. Working on the research ship New Horizon meant dealing with alien bacteria and strange particles from different worlds, so everyone had to go through this process every single day. The ship was huge, almost like a floating city in space. It housed over 300 beings from 12 different species, all working together to explore the far reaches of the galaxy. Jake had been aboard for 6 months now, and he still found it amazing to walk through the corridors and see creatures that looked nothing like humans. His quarters were small but comfortable. The room had a bed, a desk, a storage unit, and a small bathroom. Everything was designed to work for different species, so the ceiling was higher than what humans needed, and the walls had strange markings that helped other aliens navigate their way around. Jake pulled off his work uniform and dropped it into the cleaning unit. The fabric was made of special materials that could protect him from harmful substances, but it was also heavy and uncomfortable after wearing it for 12 hours straight. He stretched his arms and rolled his shoulders, feeling the relief of being free from the tight clothing. He had just pulled his shirt over his head when he heard a strange sound coming from the door. It was a series of clicks and beeps that meant the electronic lock was having problems. Jake frowned and walked toward the door, still holding his shirt. The door suddenly opened with a loud hiss, and a tall figure stepped into the room. Jake froze. Standing in his doorway was Zara, one of the Valkyrie scientists who worked in the biology lab. She was about 7 feet tall, with 4 arms and a body covered in what looked like smooth, dark green armor. Her large eyes were protected by a clear shield, and she had breathing apparatus attached to her face. For a moment, neither of them moved. Jake stood there, completely without clothes, holding his shirt in one hand. Zara stood in the doorway, her 4 arms hanging at her sides, staring at him with what he could only describe as complete horror. The Valkyrie never removed their biosuits. Jake had learned this during his first week on the ship. Their suits were not just clothing. They were life support systems that kept them alive in different environments. To see someone without their protective covering was something that never happened in Valkyrie culture. "Oh no," Jake said quickly, grabbing a towel from nearby and wrapping it around his waist. "I'm sorry, there must be some mistake. The door lock is broken." Zara made a sound that was somewhere between a gasp and a whistle. It was the first time Jake had ever heard a Valkyrie make a sound like that. Her large eyes were fixed on him, and she seemed unable to move or speak. "Look, I know this is weird," Jake continued, trying to keep his voice calm, "but humans take off their clothes all the time. It's normal for us. We're not like other species. We don't have natural armor or biosuits." Zara finally found her voice, but she spoke in her own language first. The words came out in a rush of clicks and whistles. Then she switched to the common galactic language that everyone on the ship used. "You are damaged," she said, her voice shaking. "Your protective shell is gone. You need medical help immediately." Jake blinked in confusion. No, I'm not damaged. This is how humans look under their clothes. We're not hurt or sick. We just don't have permanent coverings like your species does." "But you will die," Zara said, taking a step backward. "Number living being can survive without their shell. It is impossible." Jake realized that Zara thought his clothing was part of his body, just like her biosuit was part of hers. To her, seeing him without clothes was like seeing someone who had lost their skin. "I promise you, I'm fine," Jake said, holding up his hands to show he meant no harm. "Humans are different. We make our own coverings. We put them on and take them off whenever we want. It's not dangerous for us." Zara stared at him for another long moment. Her breathing apparatus was working faster now, which Jake had learned meant she was either scared or excited. In this case, he was pretty sure it was fear. "This is not possible," she whispered. "All species have permanent protection. It is the law of nature, not humans," Jake said gently. "We're probably the only species in the galaxy that works this way." We adapt to different environments by changing what we wear, not by having built-in protection. Zara shook her head violently. No, this is wrong. This is dangerous. You should not be showing me this. It is forbidden. Jake was starting to understand that this was about more than just biology. In Valkyrie culture, there were probably rules about seeing someone without their protective covering. Maybe it was considered private or sacred. I'm really sorry, he said. I didn't mean for this to happen. The door malfunctioned. I wasn't trying to show you anything forbidden. But Zara was already backing away from the door. I must report this, she said. The medical team needs to know. You're in danger. Wait, Jake called out, but it was too late. Zara turned and ran down the corridor, moving faster than Jake had ever seen a Valkyrie move. Her forearms pumped at her sides as she disappeared around the corner. Jake stood in his doorway for a moment, listening to the sound of her footsteps fading away. Then he stepped back into his room and let the door close behind him. The lock made the same clicking and beeping sounds as before. He sat down on his bed and put his head in his hands. This was not good. He had been trying so hard to fit in with the alien crew members, to show them that humans could work alongside other species without causing problems. Now he had accidentally terrified one of the most respected scientists on the ship. Jake got dressed quickly, putting on a clean uniform from his storage unit. He needed to find Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's human cultural liaison. She would know what to do about this situation. Elena had been working with alien species for years, and she understood their customs better than anyone else on the ship. As he walked through the corridors toward Elena's office, Jake noticed that some of the alien crew members were looking at him strangely. Word traveled fast on a ship like this. By now, half the crew probably knew that something had happened in his quarters. He passed a group of Korathians near the elevator. They were tall, reptilian creatures with thick, scaly skin that looked like natural armor. One of them hissed softly. As Jake walked by, which could mean anything from greeting to warning in their language, the elevator ride to Deck 7 seemed to take forever. Jake tried to think of how he could explain what had happened. How do you tell someone that you accidentally scared an alien scientist just by being human? How do you make them understand that what seemed normal to you was completely shocking to someone from another world? When the elevator doors opened, Jake stepped out and headed straight for Elena's office. He hoped she would be there, and he hoped she would know how to fix this mess before it got any worse. He had no idea that this was just the beginning of a much bigger problem that would affect every human on the ship. Jake found Dr. Elena Rodriguez in her office, working on her computer. She looked up when he knocked on the door frame and immediately noticed the worried expression on his face. "What's wrong?" Elena asked, setting down her coffee cup. She had been the cultural liaison on the New Horizon for 3 years, and she could tell when a crew member was in trouble. Jake sat down in the chair across from her desk and explained what had happened with Zara. Elena listened without interrupting, but her face grew more serious with each detail. "This is bad," she said when he finished. "The Valkyrie consider their biosuits to be part of their body. To them, you looked like someone who had lost their skin. Zara probably thinks you're dying." "I tried to explain that humans are different," Jake said, "but she wouldn't listen. She said she had to report it to the medical team." Elena nodded. Grimly, "She's probably already done that. The question is whether they'll believe her or think she's having some kind of breakdown." Before Jake could answer, Elena's communication device started beeping. She pressed a button and Captain Voss's voice filled the room. The Korathian captain sounded angry. "Dr. Rodriguez, report to my office immediately. Bring Lieutenant Commander Harrison with you." Elena looked at Jake. "That was fast. Come on, we need to go see the captain." They walked through the ship's corridors toward the command deck. Jake noticed that more alien crew members were staring at him now. Some of them moved to the other side of the corridor when they saw him coming. A few made hand gestures that he recognized as protective symbols in their cultures. Captain Voss's office was large and impressive, with windows that looked out into space. The captain himself was 8 feet tall, with dark green scales and yellow eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. He stood behind his desk, his arms crossed, watching them enter. "Sit down," he said in his deep voice. "We have a problem." Dr. Zara was already in the office, sitting in a chair designed for Valkyrie. She looked at Jake and made that same whistling sound he had heard earlier. Next to her sat Dr. Keth, the ship's chief medical officer. He was a Therian, a species that looked like giant spiders with blue fur. "Dr. Zara has made a disturbing report," Captain Voss said. "She claims that Lieutenant Commander Harrison has suffered some kind of biological failure. She says his protective covering has been removed or destroyed." Elena stood up. "Captain, with respect, there's been a misunderstanding. Humans don't have permanent biological coverings like other species. We use clothing that we can remove and replace." Dr. Keth moved his 8 legs in what Jake knew was a sign of confusion. "This is impossible," he said. "All intelligent species have evolved protection against environmental dangers. It is a basic requirement for survival." "Not humans," Elena said firmly. "We evolved differently. Our protection comes from tools and clothing that we create, not from our biology." Captain Voss looked at Jake with his glowing yellow eyes. "Show me," he said. Jake felt his heart racing. "Show you what, sir?" "Prove that you can survive without your protective covering. If what Dr. Rodriguez says is true, then you should be able to remove your outer shell without dying." Elena stepped forward. "Captain, that's not necessary. You can check our species files. Human biology is well documented." "Files can be wrong," Captain Voss said. "Dr. Zara is a respected scientist. She would not make false reports about biological impossibilities." Jake looked around the room. Every alien was staring at him with a mixture of fear and curiosity. He realized that this was about more than just proving he was healthy. This was about whether humans could be trusted to work alongside other species. "Okay," he said quietly. "I'll show you." Jake stood up and slowly began removing his uniform jacket. The aliens watched in complete silence. Dr. Zara made another whistling sound and covered her eyes with 2 of her 4 hands when Jake had removed his jacket and stood there in just his shirt. Dr. Keth moved closer to examine him. "The outer shell has been removed," he said in amazement. "But he shows no signs of damage or pain." "That's because it's not a shell," Elena explained. "It's fabric. A tool that humans use for protection and comfort." Jake pulled his shirt over his head. Now he was standing in the captain's office wearing only his undershirt. The aliens were staring at him like he was performing magic. "This is impossible," Dr. Zara whispered. "No creature can survive like this." "Humans can," Jake said. "We've been doing it for thousands of years. We don't need permanent armor or biosuits. We adapt to different environments by changing what we wear." Captain Voss walked around Jake, studying him from all angles. "You feel no pain, no weakness?" "None at all," Jake said. "I'm completely healthy." Dr. Keth was taking readings with his medical scanner. "His vital signs are normal," he reported. "Body temperature is stable, no signs of distress." Captain Voss returned to his desk, but he kept staring at Jake. "This changes things," he said slowly. "If humans can survive without permanent protection, then they are either much stronger than we believed or much more fragile." "We're not fragile," Elena said. "We're adaptable. Humans can live in environments that would kill other species, even without advanced technology." "Or," Captain Voss said, "you are so weak that you never evolved proper defenses. This could make you dangerous to the rest of the crew." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "Dangerous? How could we be dangerous?" "Disease," Dr. Keth said immediately. "If you have no natural barriers, you could be carrying pathogens that our medical systems cannot detect. You could infect the entire ship." "That's not how human biology works," Elena protested. "We go through the same decontamination procedures as everyone else. We're not carrying any diseases." But Captain Voss was already making notes on his computer. "Until we can be certain, all human crew members will be restricted to essential duties only. You will undergo additional medical screening every day." "Captain, that's not fair," Jake said. "We've been working on this ship for months without any problems." "The problems are just beginning," Captain Voss replied. "If humans are as different as you claim, then we need to understand what other surprises you might be hiding." Dr. Zara stood up from her chair. "I request to be transferred to a different section of the ship," she said. "I cannot work near beings who violate the basic laws of nature." "Request granted," Captain Voss said. "Dr. Keth, I want a full report on human biology within 48 hours. I want to know everything about their capabilities and limitations." Jake put his shirt back on, feeling like he had just made everything worse instead of better. "Captain, we're not trying to hide anything. We're just trying to do our jobs. Your job now is to prove that humans can work safely alongside other species," Captain Voss said. "Until then, you are all considered a potential risk." Elena and Jake left the captain's office in silence. As they walked through the corridors, Jake noticed that even more aliens were avoiding them now. Some of them were whispering in their own languages, and he caught words that he recognized as meaning dangerous and unnatural. "This is bad," Elena said when they reached her office. "The captain is scared, and scared leaders make poor decisions." "What do we do?" Jake asked. "We prove that humans are not a threat," Elena said. "But first, we need to warn the other humans on the ship. They need to know what's happening before they get caught off guard." Jake nodded, but he was already thinking about the bigger problem. If the aliens on this ship couldn't accept that humans were different, what would happen when they reported back to their homeworlds? Would humans be banned from working with other species? Would they be seen as too dangerous to be trusted? He had no idea that things were about to get much worse before they got better. The next morning, Jake woke up to find that his access card had been changed. When he tried to enter the main laboratory, the door flashed red and made a buzzing sound. A message appeared on the screen saying access denied, security restriction. Jake stood in the corridor, feeling frustrated and embarrassed. Other crew members walked past him, and he could hear them talking in their own languages. He caught enough words to know they were talking about him and the other humans. Elena found him there 20 minutes later. She looked tired, like she had not slept well. "The same thing happened to me," she said. "And to Lieutenant Foster and Dr. Brooks. All the humans on the ship have been locked out of most areas." "This is crazy," Jake said. "We've been working here for months. We've never caused any problems." "The AI system has been reprogrammed," Elena explained. "It now classifies humans as potentially hazardous biological entities the computer thinks we're dangerous." They walked to the main meeting room, where the other human crew members were waiting. There were 12 humans on the ship, and they all looked worried and confused. Amy Foster, the ship's human engineer, was pacing back and forth. "They won't let me into the engine room," she said angrily. "I've been maintaining those systems for 6 months. Now they're saying I might contaminate something." Dr. Carl Brooks, the human medical researcher, was sitting at the table with his head in his hands. "I have 3 experiments running in the lab," he said. "If I can't check on them, months of work will be ruined." Elena sat down at the head of the table. "We need to figure out how to handle this," she said. "The captain is scared, and fear makes people do stupid things." "Why are they so scared?" asked Lisa Gray, one of the human technicians. "We're not monsters, we're just different." Jake had been thinking about this all night. "It's because we don't make sense to them," he said. "Every species they know has permanent protection: shells, armor, biosuits, thick skin. We're the only ones who use tools instead." Amy stopped pacing. "That's not a weakness," she said. "That's our strength. We can adapt to any environment." "Try explaining that to aliens who think adaptation means growing new body parts," Elena said. Dr. Brooks looked up from his hands. "Maybe we're looking at this wrong," he said. "Maybe the problem isn't that we're different. Maybe the problem is that we're too similar." Everyone stared at him. "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Think about it," Dr. Brooks said. "Every other species on this ship needs special equipment to survive. The Velkari need their biosuits. The Korathians need temperature control. The Therians need low-gravity areas. But humans? We just walk around in regular clothes, breathing regular air, living in regular rooms. Amy's eyes widened. You're saying they think we're too tough? I'm saying they think we're either incredibly fragile or incredibly strong, Dr. Brooks said. And they can't figure out which one, Elena nodded slowly. That's why they're scared. They don't understand how we can survive without special protection. We need to show them, Jake said. We need to prove that human adaptability is not a threat. It's a gift. How? Lisa asked. They won't even let us into the labs. Before anyone could answer, the room's communication system crackled to life. Captain Voss's voice filled the room. All crew members report to the main assembly hall immediately. This is not a drill. The humans looked at each other nervously. They had never heard the captain sound so serious. The assembly hall was packed with creatures from 12 different species. The humans sat together in one section, while the aliens filled the rest of the room. Jake noticed that there was empty space around the human section. Like the other species were trying to stay away from them. Captain Voss stood at the front of the room, his yellow eyes scanning the crowd. We have a situation, he said. Dr. Keth has completed his analysis of human biology. His findings are disturbing. Dr. Keth moved to the front of the room on his 8 legs. He activated a holographic display that showed images of different species and their protective features. Every intelligent species in the galaxy has evolved permanent biological protection, he said. The Velkari have biosuits, the Korathians have armored skin, the Thurians have exoskeletons. This is the normal pattern of evolution. The display changed to show an image of a human. Humans have none of these features, Dr. Keth continued. They have soft skin, no natural armor, no built-in life support systems. By all logical standards, they should not be able to survive in space. Murmurs of concern rippled through the alien crew members. Some of them were looking at the humans with fear, others with confusion. Yet they do survive, Dr. Keth said. They work alongside us, they breathe the same air, they eat similar food. This should be impossible. Captain Voss stepped forward. Dr. Keth, what is your conclusion? There are 2 possibilities, Dr. Keth said. Either humans are the weakest species in the galaxy, surviving only through luck and artificial protection. Or they are the strongest, requiring no natural defenses because they are already superior to environmental threats. The room fell silent. Jake felt his heart pounding as he realized where this was going. If humans are weak, Captain Voss said, then they are a danger to themselves and others. They could die from threats that other species would not even notice. And if they are strong, Dr. Keth added, then they are a potential threat to every other species. They could survive attacks. That would kill the rest of us. Jake stood up from his seat. May I speak, Captain? Captain Voss hesitated, then nodded. You may? Jake walked to the front of the room, feeling hundreds of alien eyes watching him. You're both right and both wrong, he said. Humans are not the weakest species, and we're not the strongest. We're something else entirely, he gestured to the holographic display. Every species you've shown has evolved to survive in one specific environment. The Velkari biosuits work perfectly on their homeworld. The Korathian armor protects them from their planet's heat. The Thurian exoskeletons help them in low gravity. The aliens were listening intently now. But what happens when you take these species away from their homeworlds? Jake continued. They need artificial environments. Special rooms, special air, special food. They can't survive without technology that recreates their home conditions. Amy Foster stood up in the human section. Humans don't need that, she sighed. We can live almost anywhere. Hot planets, cold planets, high gravity, low gravity. We adapt. That's impossible, said a Velkari scientist. No species can survive in multiple environments. We can, Jake said. Not because we're stronger than you, but because we're more flexible. We don't have permanent solutions built into our bodies. We create temporary solutions that we can change when we need to. Dr. Brooks joined them at the front. Our clothing is not permanent armor, he said. It's a tool. We can make it thicker for cold environments, thinner for hot ones. We can change it completely if we need to. Our food is not specialized, Elena added. We can eat almost anything organic. We don't need specific nutrients that only exist on one planet. Lisa Gray stood up. Our bodies are not locked into one temperature range, she said. We can survive in conditions that would kill other species, and we can do it without special equipment. The aliens were murmuring among themselves now, discussing what they were hearing in their own languages. Captain Voss raised his hand for silence. You are saying that humans are ... adaptable? More than adaptable, Jake said. We're the only species that can change our survival strategy based on the situation. We don't need to evolve new body parts. We just need to think of new solutions. This is why you seem dangerous to us, Dr. Keth said slowly. You survive in ways that we cannot understand. We're not dangerous, Jake said. We're just different. And that difference could be useful to everyone on this ship. Captain Voss looked around the room at his crew. How so? Amy Foster smiled. Let us show? You. 3 hours after the assembly meeting, Jake was in his quarters trying to figure out how to prove human adaptability when the ship's emergency alarm started blaring. The sound was different from the normal alerts, deeper, more urgent, more frightening. Red lights flashed in the corridors as Jake ran toward the nearest information panel. The screen showed a message that made his blood run cold. Critical system failure. All crew to emergency stations. Jake headed for the main deck, but the corridors were filled with chaos. Alien crew members were running in different directions, many of them looking panicked. The ship was shaking slightly, which meant something was very wrong with the engines or the navigation systems. Elena met him at the elevator. It's bad, she said as they rode up to the command deck. Some kind of space anomaly damaged the environmental controls. The life support systems are failing. When they reached the command center, Jake could see that the situation was worse than Elena had described. Captain Voss was standing at the main console, his yellow eyes wide with concern. Dr. Keth was beside him, his 8 legs moving nervously as he read data from his scanner. Report? Captain Voss said when he saw Elena. The anomaly created some kind of energy pulse, Dr. Keth explained. It overloaded our environmental systems. Temperature control is failing, air recycling is damaged, and the artificial gravity is becoming unstable. Through the main windows, Jake could see the anomaly, a swirling mass of purple and blue energy that seemed to bend space around it. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. How long until life support fails completely? Elena asked. 6 hours, Dr. Keth replied. Maybe less. The damage is spreading through the ship's systems. Captain Voss turned to his communications officer. Send a distress signal to the nearest Federation ship. Already tried, sir, the officer replied. The anomaly is blocking all communications. We're on our own. Jake watched as the alien crew members tried to deal with the crisis. The Valkyrie scientists were struggling because their biosuits were designed for stable environments. The temperature changes were making their suits malfunction. Several of them had already collapsed and been taken to the medical bay. The Korathian engineers were having similar problems. Their natural armor protected them from heat, but it made them slow and clumsy when they needed to move quickly. They couldn't reach the damaged systems in time to fix them. The Thurian technicians were completely helpless. Their exoskeletons were cracking under the pressure changes, and they couldn't work in the unstable gravity conditions. Amy Foster appeared at Jake's side. The humans are ready to help, she said quietly. But they won't let us near the critical systems. Maybe now they will, Jake said. He walked up to Captain Voss. Captain, we can help. Captain Voss looked at him with frustration. How? You have no protective equipment for these conditions. We don't need special equipment, Jake said. That's what we've been trying to tell you. Humans can work in environments that would kill other species. The temperature in the engine room is over 60 degrees, Dr. Keth said. The air pressure is dropping. The gravity is unstable. No one can survive in those conditions. Amy stepped forward. We can, she said simply. Let us try. Captain Voss hesitated. Around them, alien crew members were collapsing as their protective systems failed. The ship was dying, and traditional solutions weren't working. "Do it," he said finally. Amy and Jake ran toward the engine room, followed by Dr. Brooks and Lisa Gray. The corridors were getting hotter as they moved deeper into the ship. Jake could feel sweat starting to form on his forehead, but he wasn't in danger. They reached the engine room to find it in chaos. The temperature was indeed over 60 degrees, and the air was thin. Sparks were flying from damaged control panels, and the artificial gravity was fluctuating wildly. "This would kill any other species on the ship," Amy said, pulling tools from her belt. "Good thing we're human." Jake watched in amazement as Amy moved through the dangerous environment like it was nothing. She floated when the gravity failed, landed safely when it returned, and worked steadily despite the heat and the thin air. Dr. Brooks was checking the air recycling systems. "The filters are clogged with debris from the anomaly," he called out. "I can clear them, but I'll need to remove the protective housing." "Do it," Jake said. "We'll cover you." Lisa Gray was already working on the temperature controls. "The cooling system is offline," she said. "I can reroute power from the backup systems, but someone needs to manually restart the pumps." "I'll do it," Jake said. He crawled through a narrow maintenance tunnel that was too small for any of the larger alien species. The tunnel was hot and cramped, but Jake could handle it. As he worked, Jake realized that this was exactly what made humans special. They weren't stronger than other species, and they weren't tougher, but they could adapt to situations that would overwhelm creatures who depended on permanent protection. The Valkyrie needed their biosuits, so when the suits failed, they couldn't function. The Korathians needed stable temperatures, so when the heat increased, they became helpless. The Thurians needed consistent gravity, so when it fluctuated, they couldn't work, but humans just adjusted. They worked in heat, cold, low pressure, high pressure, weak gravity, strong gravity. They survived because they were flexible, not because they were strong. "Got it," Jake called out as he managed to restart the cooling pumps. Temperature should start dropping in a few minutes. Amy had fixed the main power coupling. "Gravity control is back online," she said, "but the air recycling is still broken." Dr. Brooks was deep inside the air recycling system, working without any protective gear. "Almost there," he said. "The debris is clearing." Meanwhile, Lisa had jury-rigged a temporary solution for the pressure problem. "This won't last long," she said, "but it should buy us time." Jake crawled back through the maintenance tunnel and rejoined the others. They were all sweating and tired, but they were alive and the systems were starting to work again. "We need to check the other sections," Amy said. "The damage probably spread throughout the ship." They moved through the ship, fixing problems that the alien crew members couldn't handle. In the biology lab, they found Zara trapped behind a damaged door. The Valkyrie scientist was unconscious, her biosuit flashing warning lights. "Her suit is failing," Dr. Brooks said, checking her vital signs. "She needs to be moved to a safe environment." Jake lifted Zara carefully. She was heavier than a human, but not impossibly so. He carried her through corridors that were still dangerous while her biosuit continued to malfunction. They reached the medical bay, where Dr. Keth was treating other alien crew members. The Thurian doctor looked up in surprise as Jake brought Zara in. "How are you still functional?" Dr. Keth asked. "The environmental conditions should have killed you." "We're human," Jake said simply. "We adapt." Dr. Keth began treating Zara while Jake and the others returned to their repair work. They spent the next 4 hours moving through the ship, fixing systems and rescuing crew members who were trapped by the environmental failures. When they finally returned to the command deck, they found Captain Voss staring at the main display. The ship's systems were green across the board. Life support was functioning normally, and the crisis had passed. "How?" Captain Voss asked when he saw them. "We did what humans do," Amy said. "We adapted to the situation and found solutions." Captain Voss looked around at his crew. Half of them were in the medical bay, recovering from system failures. The other half were still struggling with equipment that wasn't designed for unstable conditions. "You saved the ship," he said quietly. You saved all of us. We worked together, Jake said. That's what crews do. But Jake could see something, changing in Captain Voss's expression. The fear was gone, replaced by something that looked like respect. I think, Captain Voss said slowly, that I have underestimated humans. 2 days after the crisis, Jake was back in his regular routine. The ship was running normally again, and all the damaged systems had been repaired. But something fundamental had changed aboard the New Horizon as Jake walked through the corridors. Alien crew members nodded to him respectfully. Some even stopped to thank him for his help during the emergency. The fear and suspicion that had filled the ship after his encounter with Zara was completely gone. Jake was heading to the biology lab when he heard footsteps behind him. He turned to see Zara approaching, moving more slowly than usual. Her biosuit looked different somehow, less rigid, more flexible. Lieutenant Commander Harrison, she said, using his full title. May I speak with you? Of course, Jake said. How are you feeling? Dr. Keth said your biosuit had some serious malfunctions, Zara nodded. I was unconscious for several hours. When I woke up, Dr. Keth told me what happened. You carried me to safety through dangerous conditions. They walked together toward the observation deck, a large area with windows that looked out into space. The anomaly was gone now, leaving only normal stars and the darkness of deep space. I owe you an apology, Zara said when they reached the windows, and an explanation. Jake waited for her to continue. In Valkyrie culture, our biosuits are sacred, Zara explained. They are grown specifically for each individual, and they become part of our identity. To see someone without their protective covering is like seeing their soul exposed. I didn't know, Jake said. I'm sorry I shocked you so much. Zara made a sound that Jake now recognized as Valkyrie laughter. You did not shock me because you violated our customs, she said. You shocked me because I thought I was watching someone die. She gestured to her biosuit. This has been part of me since I was born. Without it, I would die within minutes. To see you standing there, alive and healthy without any protection, was like witnessing a miracle. Jake looked at her with new understanding. You weren't disgusted by me. You were amazed. Terrified and amazed, Zara corrected. I could not understand how you could exist in such a state. It was like seeing a creature that could breathe water and air at the same time. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the stars. During the crisis, Zara continued, I learned something important. When my biosuit failed, I became helpless. I could not adapt to the new conditions. But you and the other humans moved through those same conditions like they were normal. We're just built differently, Jake said. No, Zara said firmly. You are built better, at least for some things. Before Jake could respond, Captain Voss entered the observation deck. The tall Korathian looked tired but relieved. Lieutenant. Commander Harrison, he said, I've been looking for you. We need to talk. Jake felt a familiar nervousness. Is there a problem, Captain? Yes, Captain Voss said. A big problem. But not the kind you think. The captain moved to stand beside them at the windows. Dr. Keth has finished his full analysis of what happened during the crisis. His report is very interesting. Captain Voss activated a small holographic display that showed the ship's layout during the emergency. Areas were colored red, yellow, and green to show danger levels. The red areas were deadly to most species, Captain Voss explained. Temperature too high, pressure too low, gravity unstable. My people could not work there. Neither could the Thurians or the Valkyrie or any other species. But humans could, Jake said. Not only could, Captain Voss corrected. Humans worked better in those conditions than they do in normal ones. Dr. Keth believes that humans are naturally designed for crisis situations. Zara moved closer to the display. This explains much, she said. Humans do not need permanent protection because they are already protected by their adaptability. Captain Voss nodded. Every other species in the galaxy evolved for stability. We developed better armor, better life support, better environmental controls. But humans evolved for change. Jake had never thought about it that way before. So when everything becomes unstable, we're actually in our element? Exactly, Captain Voss said. Other species panic when their protective systems fail. Humans just find new solutions. Elena Rodriguez appeared in the doorway of the observation deck. Sorry to interrupt, she said, but I have news. The Galactic Research Council wants a full report on what happened here. Captain Voss straightened up. What kind of report? They want to know how a ship full of different species survived a crisis that should have killed everyone aboard. Elena explained. They're particularly interested in the human contribution. What will you tell them? Jake asked. Captain Voss was quiet for a long moment. I will tell them the truth, he said finally. That humans saved this ship and everyone on it. That human adaptability is not a weakness or a threat, but a valuable asset. Zara made her laughing sound again. The Council will not believe it at first. Then we will prove it, Captain Voss said, the same way you proved it to us. Elena smiled. Actually, the Council has already made a decision. They want to create a new type of exploration ship, one specifically designed to take advantage of human adaptability. What do you mean? Jake asked. Mixed crews, Elena explained. Ships with humans and aliens working together. The aliens would handle stable operations, while humans would handle emergency situations and environmental challenges. Captain Voss nodded approvingly. This makes sense. Each species contributes their strengths, and humans would be team leaders for crisis situations, Elena continued. The Council recognizes that human flexibility makes them natural problem solvers. Jake felt a surge of pride, but also responsibility. That's a big job. You have already proven you can do it, Zara said. You led the rescue effort during our crisis. You made decisions quickly and adapted to changing conditions. Captain Voss turned to face Jake directly. I have a proposition for you, Lieutenant Commander Harrison. I am recommending you for promotion to head of interspecies crisis management for this ship. What does that mean? Jake asked. It means that when things go wrong, you are in charge, Captain Voss explained. You would coordinate between species, make emergency decisions, and lead rescue operations. Jake looked around at the three beings. Surrounding him, a Korathian captain, a Valkyrie scientist, and a human cultural expert. A few days ago, two of them had been afraid of him. Now they were offering him a leadership position. I accept, he said. Elena grinned. There's more good news. The Council wants to establish a new academy for interspecies cooperation. They want humans to teach other species about adaptability and crisis management. And they want other species to teach humans about their specialized knowledge, Captain Voss added. It would be a true exchange of ideas. Zara moved closer to the window. This is how it should be, she said. Each species contributing what they do best. Speaking of contributions, Jake said, I have a question for you, Zara. Would you be willing to work with me on a project? What kind of project? She asked. A study of how different species handle environmental challenges, Jake explained. I think we could learn a lot from each other. Zara's biosuit changed color slightly, which Jake had learned was a sign of excitement. I would be honored, she said. Captain Voss smiled, showing his sharp teeth. This is good. The ship works better when the crew works together. Over the following weeks, Jake settled into his new role. He worked with crew members from all 12 species, learning about their capabilities and limitations. He discovered that the Therians were excellent at detailed planning, while the Korathians were natural leaders in stable situations. The Valkyrie were brilliant researchers, and other species had their own unique strengths, but humans remained the specialists in adaptation and crisis management. When problems arose, the alien crew members looked to the humans for solutions. Jake often thought about that first day when Zara had accidentally entered his room. What had seemed like a disaster at the time had led to a new understanding between species. It had shown everyone that differences were not threats. They were opportunities. The New Horizon had become more than just a research ship. It had become a model for how different species could work together, each contributing their strengths to achieve goals that none of them could reach alone. and it had all started with a simple misunderstanding about clothes.